Viewers, I am Tej Bahadur Verma, CBSE teacher and the ex-teacher of Tehran, Iran. Today I propose to talk about the problem of the disintegration of Russian Empire, the Soviet ideology, its criticism, the reforms done by Gorbachev. We know that the Eastern European Germany, when they fell the Berlin Wall, that symbolized the end of the Cold War, and Russia Empire afterwards disintegrated. Now let us try to find out what was the ideology of Soviet Russia. They believed in the concentration of they did not give freedom to the individual. It was a state rule, and the Communist Party of Russia was all powerful. The means of production and distribution were concentrated in the hands of the state, and it was a state rule. But soon we find that it had certain defects, it had some shortcomings which was responsible for a change. There was the communist ideology had included the 8 states which constituted the Russian Empire. But later on, after the Second World War and after the reform, these 8 states soon became separate from the Russian Empire, and the Russian Empire was disintegrated. The main causes of the fall of the Russian Empire were that there was the bureaucracy was to be blamed. The people wanted the freedom of speech. The people were looking for democracy. And in 1979, Russia invaded Afghanistan. So there was great loss of economic loss for the Russia. The condition of Russia became bad because, in spite of the fact that Russia had oil resources, the minerals, the industries, but after invasion of Afghanistan, the condition became not that sound as it enjoyed previously. And the people were claiming that the consumer protection goods were not there, and they were aspiring for democratic rights. Now in this period, Gorbachev, who was a social reformer, he wanted that Russia should have good relation with different countries, and they should adopt the democratic policy and the freedom of the individual. And he also wanted that there should be capitalism. Boris Yeltsin, who was the president of Soviet Union, He became the president by election, and he also helped to formulate the policies based on the Gorbachev reforms. Thus, what we find the impact of all these policies was that the small states, they became disconnected with the Soviet Empire, and they proclaimed their independence. For example, Ukraine, Georgia, Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia, they all became separate from the Russian Empire. Now, what we find the criticism of this is that because of the lack of the freedom, independence, democracy, social reform, the people of Soviet Union wanted a change, and thus there was the decline of the Russian Empire. We find that the policy adopted by Communist Party of India was changed, and Russia also became non-communist state. By non-communist state, I mean the type of communism which was prevalent in the times of Stalin and Lenin. So the reforms had changed the ideology of Russia. The state of Russia became very powerful after the reforms. It could sign the international agreements, and one of the powerful states was Russia for all the practical purposes. Now, students who are studying in the 12th CBSE political science, they must try to find out some of the questions. For example, I give you what symbolizes the Berlin Wall, number 1. Number 2, what was the communist ideology? Number 3, what were the reforms done by Gorbachev? Number 4, who was the president elected by the people? Number 5, how the Communist Party can be criticized? What was the change brought by Gorbachev in Soviet Russia? Thank you.